Running your own real estate investment business can be stressful, time-consuming, and difficult to manage. Where do you start? Why go out and try and reinvent the wheel when we have the answer? With our exclusive training program, we will teach you how to free up your time to build your business, develop your goals, learning where to find the money, how to find better deals, keeping track of offers, building a team, and developing a business plan that works for you. We at Real Impact Real Estate Training and Mentoring have all the answers for you. We have several plans to help you get your business to the next level. We have developed the best one-on-one personal training system in the industry. We have a proven structure that has been developed for more than 50 years through the purchase and sales of thousands of homes and commercial properties. We will help you set up and build your real estate investment business. Whether you are new to investing or you are a seasoned professional, we have a plan for you to customize your business to a method that works, is affordable, and fits your budget. With training modules like finding money, finding deals, learning how to get correct comps, building a team, short sales, subject twos, foreclosures, making multiple offers, understanding auctions, REOs, and tax sales, working to build your construction team, and finding sellers and buyers. Find your property management team, plus over 70 additional training modules to choose from. Sit down with us for a one-on-one consulting to see what training plan is best to develop your goals and to build your business by using the 5 M's of investing: mining, money, maintenance, marketing, and management. Wouldn't your life be great if you can live it on your own terms? We help you develop and structure your business to take massive action. Join the Real Impact Real Estate Training today. Change your life today with real estate investing.
Hello, everybody. Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. My name is Karen Maxwell with Real Impact Training Systems. And are you guys in for a treat? Actually, we're all in for a treat this week because we have Randy Hughes. Mr. Land Trust himself is coming to Texas, and he's going to be speaking at several of our groups in the next week. So if you're a real estate investor and you want to or you want to be a real estate investor, but you're concerned about how you're going to keep your business private, and you're concerned about the risk and others knowing about your businesses. So if you want a chance to reduce those lawsuits and looking for a way to get around the due on sale clause if you're buying subject to properties, if you need to learn how to transfer your properties privately without changing the deed, all these things can be accomplished with using a land trust. So, land trust. Randy Hughes is known as Mr. Land Trust, and he's developed a system to help you create your own land trust over and over again. So how would you like to have the knowledge to put each of your properties into their own individual land trust yourself and insulate them from each other? So we have a solution. The first week of May, Real Impact Training System is hosting Mr. Land Trust himself, Randy Hughes. He's going to be in Texas live at 6 of our locations for the first week to show you how to how to create a land trust simply. So please join us the first week of May, and let's bring on Randy Hughes. And I think we have Doug and Renee on this afternoon. Hey, Randy.
Hey.
Glad you could join us. Thank you so much, Doug and Renee. Doug and Renee are our Impact Master Trainers in our Real Impact Longview location. And Randy's going to be with you guys Saturday afternoon, May 6th.
Saturday, May 6th. Can't wait.
You're going to be with me on May 6th in the morning and with Doug and Renee on May 6th in the afternoon. You are going to be a busy, busy guy this coming week.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I love hanging out in Texas. I love Texans, so I'm really looking forward to actually getting out of Illinois because it's kind of cold and rainy here right now. So it looks like you got a little more sunshine down there.
It's 80 degrees and sunny.
Oh, no.
But it hasn't been that way. We kind of had a cold front this week, but we dealt with it and we shoot it on your way.
It's out of the way, so you're ready for me to come down, and then you'll have warm temperatures for me. That's great.
That's right.
your talk there, the introduction, Karen, was just superb. I mean, you ought to start teaching about land trusts. You know all the benefits and all the reasons why we do this. And I was also watching your automated the animated introduction, which is great. And it always takes me back to my initial thoughts about getting into real estate. I mean, I went to college, but I didn't have any money, and I didn't have anybody to help me get started. No teachers, or certainly no seed money coming from my parents. And what I really wanted to do was, I had this concept, and when I was a freshman in college, that I'd buy an apartment building someday, and that that would be my foray into the real estate world. But once reality hit, I realized that it takes, at least I thought it took, a lot of money to buy an apartment building. So I ended up buying a single family house initially when I was 19 years old in college. And the only reason why I bought the house was because it only cost me $850 to assume the loan that was there. And I gave the current owner $850 cash to balance. And I realized, well, I can't buy a lot of real estate because I don't have any more money. That was all I could buy at the time, but at least it got me in to the business. And that was significant. I mean, getting in at such a young age is so important. And that's one of the things I like to teach in my all-day land trust course is how to teach our kids to do this, because they have several more amortizations in their life than we have, and certainly more than I have. I'm not sure I got any amortizations left in me, but those kids do. You got a kid, you get a kid involved in real estate at 8 or 10 years old, and man, they've got the world by the tail. I'm a single family house guy. I know a lot of people that have become wealthy in commercial real estate and wealthy in apartment buildings. But I always tell people when they want to get involved in real estate investing to find something that fits their personality. And single family houses and the people who rent them fit my personality more than apartment or commercial tenants. But whatever works for you, it works for you. But I really didn't mean to take up all the time here initially. Did you have any questions that you want, or do you just want me to unwind?
Well, actually, we do have a PowerPoint we'll bring up in a second, but I wanted to ask Doug and Renee. Speaking of what Randy just said, I know this is totally off script, but I didn't get into real estate investing until I was 42. So to hear Randy say that he got into real estate investing at 19, and I know Dennis got into real estate investing in college. What about you guys? How much did you get involved in real estate when you were a teenager?
No, my first deal, I was probably
That was in 2000.
in 2006.
So you were born in 63.
Let's do the math.
We were married and had 3 children.
Yeah, he was 43.
And
43 on his first deal.
We had another business, a courier business that we built up, and I systematized, and I got it to where Renee could run it from her telephone. And then I did what Rich Dad says and take the only reason for a business is to invest. And so I went out and I started another business, and it was a handyman business. And I was going through the house to give a guy numbers on what it would take to fix his house. And it was so bad that he wouldn't do the deal. And I said, well, I can fix this. And he told me, well, then you do it. And I didn't have any money, but he had a guy that had hard money, and I did it with hard money, and it worked out. And that was my first deal. I paid $23,000 for that house, and I've never paid more since.
There you go. Because you learned.
Yep.
So, but my thought was, my kids have been around real estate. They're 12 and 16 now, and I've been doing this for 9 years. And they literally will cringe whenever I slow down past a vacant house. But I have to say, like, look, guys, I've got to get this. Can you jot that address down? Can you text it to me? Like, if you'll make this faster, we'll get where we're going sooner. But they finally have come around to understand what it is that I do.
Right.
Not that they're like, hey, Mom, there's a vacant house. Let's stop.
No, probably not.
Right. But if it's, like, because we're looking for a property to buy in the Princeton, McKinney, Plano area. And so when we're driving around now, they're hardly ever driving around with me. But when they are, they're like, oh, you think that one's for rent? Or do you think that one's for sale? Or do you think, what about that one? And so it's starting to, that seed that I planted is starting to
Grow.
Maybe I'll get to reap it.
Are you cutting them in on these deals, Karen? That'll motivate them.
Well, I put a roof over their heads. I think so. Okay, but thank you for that, Randy, because it really does help to make. So the one thing that I got from what you were talking about was, I wish that I had known what I know now when I was in my early 20s.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I can't even imagine where I would be right now if I knew then what I know now.
Right.
Imagine what those houses were worth when you were in your 20s.
I'm just thinking about the house that I sold in 2017 that I sold for probably $75,000. That would probably now sell for about $150,000. I'm astonished, like absolutely astonished at the market that I sold in. It was just circumstance in life, and I decided to sell that property. And what is it? Dennis says, or somebody else says it. It's a quote. Don't wait and buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There you go. Great quote.
It's in our training. I don't remember who said it. Dennis said it to me, but all right, CJ, can we go ahead and bring up that PowerPoint so we can get Randy discussing about land trust? Randy, go ahead and tell us all about land trust.
All right. Well, here's the point that I really want to drive home here, folks, is it's one thing to work hard for a lifetime or a decade or whatever you've been doing. It's one thing to do that, and that's hard to do. And I commend you for doing it, because most people won't do that. Work hard, I mean. But it's another thing to be able to keep that wealth long term. There are many stories that I talk about in my speeches, and I have my students tell me where they have worked a long period of time, put in a lot of effort and a lot of money and a lot of risk, and then lost all of it or part of it due to a frivolous lawsuit. And I just want to make the point that I don't teach people to use these trusts to hurt anybody else, to take advantage of other people, to not pay their bills, for example. I teach this privacy and asset protection concept so you don't get taken advantage of, because there's nothing more depressing than to work a decade or two or a lifetime to acquire assets and then have them taken away from you, either by a contingency fee lawyer and his deadbeat client, or perhaps a government agency. So what we want to do is we want to spend a lot of time building wealth, and we want to take a little bit of time to protect that wealth as we're going along through life. And as I always tell my students, it's always going to be harder next year to protect your assets than it is this year. There's a saying in the asset protection world that goes like this: old and cold matters. And that means if you are sued, let's say tomorrow, and you go out and put everything into trust today, it isn't going to fly. The courts look at that and say, well, we know what you're doing. You're trying to defraud your creditors. So if you can build wealth and do it in such a way that protects that wealth over long term, then if somebody attacks you 5 years from now, for example, the court will look at what you did 5 years ago and say, well, yeah, that's legitimate. He did not do that to defraud his creditors. He did that for estate planning, for example. So I know it's easy to put this stuff off. We're all busy. You know, I get 200 emails a day. It takes me an hour just to sift through the emails and find the right ones I want to read. But you got to take this seriously if you want to benefit from investing in real estate. And my gosh, I am so glad that I've done this over the years. I'm so glad I got into real estate, buying houses. Many of the houses that I control today, I don't own any because they're all in individual trusts, but many of those houses that are in those trusts that I have control over, I've owned for 30 or 40 years. And what's really cool about that is, you know, you struggle along, you create a deal, and maybe there's $100 a month positive cash flow, big deal, you know. Now, if you got 10 of them, you got $1,000 a month cash flow. But let's say those 10 houses pay off. You paid the debt off. You mortgaged them when you bought them for 80% or more. And you mortgaged them, let's say, over 15 years. And you started when you were 25. So now you're 40. You got 10 houses are paid for. And those $100 a month positive cash flows are going to go in one day. You're going to pay off that loan. And in one day, your cash flow is going to go from $100 to $1,000 in one day. Now you got 10 houses that are throwing off $1,000 a month in positive cash flow. Not even talking about the tax benefits, the principal reduction that they paid off for you, the appreciation of the properties, not even talking about all that. And that's significant. I'm just talking about positive cash flow, something you can live off of and have fun with when you're 40 years old. Now you got 10 grand a month. What would you do with 10 grand a month positive cash flow? Well, I know what I would do. I'd go to Cancun every month.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Cancun every month. You know?
I was clapping backstage. Yes, if I had $10,000 a month, if I was 42 when I got started in real estate investing, and I was working a W-2 job, like Monday through Friday, like pretty much 8 to 5, not always, but pretty much 8 to 5, like just living paycheck to paycheck, and that was my life. And I didn't even know that it was possible. I didn't know anything about real estate. Other than owning my own home, but it's amazing. And so I came up with a couple questions while you were talking, Randy. So what could happen? I know there are a lot of investors that they just have a couple of single family homes. They bought them in their own name. So what could happen if somebody sues them and they have 3 rental properties in their own name?
Well, there's kind of a game going on here in the legal world. And the bottom line is real estate investors that own real estate in their name are big targets for lawyers, and especially contingency fee lawyers, because they're easy to sue and they're easy to collect on. You know, if you've got 100 grand in cash in the bank and somebody sues you and gets a judgment against you, that 100 grand is pretty easy to disappear. It could disappear in a day. Right. It's not easy to get rid of 10 houses. So real estate, attorneys that love to sue real estate investors because they know they have hard assets that if they sue and win, they can collect. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but attorneys typically don't sue poor people or poor people that don't have assets.
Right.
And that's the reason why. So when you use these trusts, nobody knows to what extent your wealth is. Nobody knows to what extent you have or control real estate. And so it kind of puts things in a mysterious atmosphere. Lawyers like certainty. They like to know the answer to the question when you're on the stand, for example, the answer you're going to have to give before they ask the question. They don't like uncertainty. And trusts are, number one, most attorneys don't understand trust because they're not taught this stuff in law school. but they're kind of mysterious. People get images of big columns and bank trust departments and that sort of thing in their mind when they start reading and hearing about trust. So what happens here they want to go for the easy score. They don't want to spend money to make money. So what they do is these unscrupulous folks, they partner up with an unscrupulous contingency fee lawyer, and they go out looking for people to attack. Or you may find yourself in that situation because you had a car accident, or you ran over somebody's dog, or there was a dog bite on your rental property. There are so many exposures that we have out there as real estate investors. When you put your name on a deed, it's just like waving a big flag and saying, hey, come get me. Because the general public's concept of a real estate investor is that everybody's wealthy. You're a real estate investor. You must be rich. And so therefore you're putting up a big red flag saying, hey, come sue me. In a contingency fee situation, typically the plaintiff does not pay any legal fees. The attorney takes the case on a basis where he's going to get typically 1/3 of whatever they extract out of you. So given those circumstances, why wouldn't they sue you? It doesn't cost anything. Let's roll the dice and see if I can end up with 2/3 of something. Who cares? I have nothing at risk. Whereas if you make it difficult, if you're putting up hurdles and making it expensive and putting yourself in a position where if somebody does sue you, it ain't going to be free. They're going to have to pay up to the attorney to chase you and to find out, who's behind this trust. And then when they get to the bottom of the trust and they find out that it's an LLC out of state that's controlling the trust, now they're going to have to deal with that. Pretty soon, your adversary is going to say, I think I'll just go sue somebody that owns real estate in their name. This is too expensive and too time consuming.
Right.
So all we're doing is we're trying to put enough hurdles in the way that they'll turn their sights towards somebody else and they'll leave us alone.
So it occurred to me, I guess it was 2 years ago was the last time that you were here, was in June of 2021. Mm-hmm. And at some point in a discussion somewhere, somebody asked you, how many properties do you own? And you said none. And that was like a light bulb moment for me, because everybody that I knew up until then would tell me how many houses they own, how many apartment buildings they own. Like, they would tell me. And you said that, and you were like, I was like, that was a light bulb moment for me. I was like, you need to appear poor on paper, because if you're out there just advertising, I've got 70 properties, or I've got 65 properties, or 100 properties, or 10 properties, you're literally waving that red flag, as you said, you're waving the flag that says, hey, sue me. I've got something for you to sue for. And so that was my next question was, what about if we put it all in one LLC? What if I have 10 rental properties and I put them all in one LLC?
Well, I like LLCs and I use them all the time, every day in my business, but not to hold title to the real estate. A basic understanding of asset protection is to put all assets in separate vehicles. Whether it's cash, stocks, bonds, real estate, whatever the asset is, it should not be commingled with other assets. So why I like to teach real estate investors how to create land trusts is because you can put every property in a separate trust and it doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
Theoretically, you could put every property in a separate LLC, but it's going to cost you and it's going to be time consuming and a lot of paperwork. And most states, we can look up who owns an LLC. So that's the number one reason I don't title into real estate is I don't want to put it in an entity that you can look up who owns it, because then we're back to no anonymity. Number two reason is I wouldn't put more than one asset in anything, whether it's a land trust, a LLC, or a corporation, because you're creating a nexus for a lawsuit. So let's say you got 10 single family rentals, you title them all in one LLC. There's a claim, a dog bite, a fist fight, or whatever it is.
Someone falls down the stairs.
Yeah, on one property, has nothing to do with the other 9 properties. And somebody sues the owner of that property, and it either wasn't covered under their insurance or exceeded the insurance coverages. Whatever reason, they win a judgment against the owner of the property. Now, if all 10 of those properties are in one LLC, who's the owner? The LLC, right?
Right.
So now they have a judgment against everything inside that LLC. So they've got 10 of your properties instead of 1. Now, I can kill 1 property and still live off of 9, but I can't live off of 0.
Right.
So it just seems logical that you'd make the LLC the beneficiary of these trusts and put every property into its own separate trust.
Makes perfect sense. And you're going to actually show us how to do that at your all-day training, right?
I sure am. Yep.
Step by step. I still have my doc. There's a lot of questions.
We got a whole day to go through it.
That's right. And you're going to break it down, and it's going to be super simple.
Yep.
Okay. So my next, Renee and Doug, did you guys have any questions?
Oh, I did. So I really like owner finance. So we'll buy a property and we'll rent it to somebody for 12 months. If it looks like they're going to pay us on time and be good renters and maybe possibly be good owners, then we will owner finance that property to them. And then all I'm doing is collecting the money from a note, but I'm actually selling it. I understand that. And that's probably not what you do, but would it make sense for that property to be in a land trust already when I owner finance it?
Yeah, I mean, you should take title when you acquire it. You should take title directly from the seller into your trust, so you're never on that chain of title. So let's just start everything from that viewpoint, that you're never going to take title to anything ever again in your life, and that will be a great philosophy to follow. But let's say you do that, you take the title from whoever owns it now into your trust, and then down the road you find this contract buyer. Then you're going to sell the beneficial interest in the trust to the contract buyer, and they're going to give you a down payment, and then they're going to make monthly payments to you. That's also, I do provide at the training class coming up, I do provide the contract for purchase of the beneficial interest to make it easy for you to do. But that way, when they're buying the beneficial interest on contract, there's no title transfer to them, and they're not going to cloud your title if something happens to them. You know, if you got a 5-year contract and they get sued, or they don't pay their medical bills and a lien or judgment is placed on them, it will not affect the title to your property. If you sell to them on a standard contract for deed, it's going to muck up your title if something happens to them. And we all know stuff happens.
Right.
So, protect the title at all costs so you don't get burnt. And so you're going to sell the beneficial interest on a contract. My experience is that 99% of the people, when the balloon date comes, which means I finance it for 25 years with, say, a 3 to 5 year balloon. When that balloon date comes, even though their contract says they're buying the beneficial interest, and they would technically step in to be the beneficiary once they pay you in full, most people are getting a conventional loan to pay you off with. And the conventional loan requires them to take title in their name personally. So what we typically do when they're ready to pay us off is we just deed out of the trust and into their name personally. And then we close down the trust. If they want to keep the trust, they have every right to do it. They've bought the beneficial interest, but unless they got cash or a non-conventional loan, they pretty much have to do it. And we don't care if they take title in their name. That's their problem, not ours. They pay us off in full, and everybody walks away. And there's been no risk, or nothing in the public record is going to show that I was involved in that deal at all. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
One of my students told me one day, he says, what I really like about using trusts is my fellow real estate investors in my small town can't track what I'm doing. He said, I have tracked other real estate investors and seen what they've done, that because it was recorded in the county recorder's office, and I see what they're doing, and I'm learning off of them, and I'm piggybacking off of their ideas. I don't want them to do that off of me. And that's why I like to use trusts. So it's kind of an interesting way of looking at it.
That is an interesting way of looking at it. So earlier you mentioned that a lot of attorneys don't have the knowledge of trust because they weren't taught much about trust in school, in college, in law school. What about your CPA?
Well, the CPAs know less. I've had many a CPA sit in the front row of a speech I'm giving, and I would say something and they say, oh, no, that's not right. And I say, well, we need to talk afterwards because I think it is right. And they just, most of them, because the lawyers don't know about trust, a majority of real estate investors don't use trusts, and therefore their accountants are doing tax returns based on non-trust investing. Now, one of the nice things I've done to help my students is I've written 5 packages that I give my students, and one of those packages is one that they give to their accountant. It shows them a sample tax return when your properties are in trust, and it explains how to file a tax return when you're using these trusts. I also have a package for your banker, your title company, and your lawyer. Because a lot of my students, they have a relationship with a lawyer. They don't want to change and start all over the new lawyer, but he knows nothing about trust. So they just print out this package that I've already created, hand it to the lawyer. It gives him all the history of trust back 2,000 years, all the state laws for their state. It really is a great way to build a team. I think all real estate investors need a team of a banker, a lawyer, a title company, an insurance agent. I got a package for your insurance agent too, to help you succeed, because you can't do this all on your own.
Totally agree with all that. So we actually have a CPA that's going to be coming to one of your meetings this week because he wants to learn about trusts. And because we talk a lot about that, in real estate, because it's all about protecting your assets. And we don't want to lose what we're working so hard to build. And so that's my next thing I want to ask about is as far as wills, probate, things like that. I know that you talked about what happens when you pass on if you have assets that you intend for them to go to your children.
Well, yeah, there are so many benefits of using these trusts. Asset protection is just one. In fact, if the people will come and listen to me talk this next week, I will give them for free a booklet I've written with over 50 reasons to use a trust.
Great.
So we don't have time to cover them all tonight, but what you just said is certainly correct. Using these trusts, you bypass probate. And probate is a legal process that when somebody dies, it basically you have to tell the whole world what you owned and who's been transferred to, and now who owns it. So it's just a public display of everything of your financial life. And I think that's really dumb. So that these trusts will have you avoid that exposure. And there are lots of other benefits that these trusts will use. And like I said, I'll give you that booklet with a whole bunch of reasons to use them. In reference to probate, I know a lot of real estate investors they invest in other states. Like you might have 5 houses in Texas, but you have 5 in Tennessee and 5 in Florida. Well, if you have those houses in your name personally and you die, you have to go through probate in Texas, in Florida, and Tennessee.
I don't own properties out of state, so I'd never thought about that, but that's a very good, very valid point.
Yeah, and it's a mess for your heirs, and I always tell people, if you really claim to love somebody, don't put them in a mess when you die.
Right.
They're already going to be messed up emotionally. Don't mess them up financially when you pass on. So,
and probate's costly.
It's costly and it's
time
consuming. Yeah. Yep, sure is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Doug and Renee, do y'all have any questions?
Randy, you mentioned earlier that basically being able to put your property in a land trust is practically free to do that. Can you talk a little bit more about why that is, and how that would play itself out?
Well, yes, there's because there's no registry for trusts like there are with corporations and LLCs. You don't have to have a registered agent. A corporation and an LLC, to create one, first off, you got to check and see if the name you want is available at the state level. Then you've got to apply with the state to get that name. You have to have a registered agent for service of lawsuits.
Yep.
None of that applies to these trusts. They are called grantor revocable trusts, which means they are a pass-through. The IRS says, hey, we don't even want to see these trusts. Just file at the beneficiary's level. So no tax return, no FEIN number, no registered agent. I mean, what else do you want in life? This stuff is really, really private. And then it all flows through to what we typically do is make the beneficiary of our trusts one or more LLCs. And that's where we get more asset protection, is at the beneficiary level. But the most inexpensive, easiest thing for us to do as real estate investors is to not own this stuff in our name. Just by not having our name in the public, we'll cut out a whole lot of crap for you. And it also makes you a much more effective property manager. If you're managing your own properties like I do, I am not the owner, and I'm not lying when I tell the tenants I'm not the owner. I'm just a property manager, and it totally changes your relationship with your tenants. You have a lot less confrontation with a tenant when you're just the property manager than if you're the owner. Right now, I know you guys are probably experiencing the same thing I am, and that is we're getting tremendous rent increases right now. I've been a landlord for 51, 52 years now, and for probably 50 of those years, I was happy to get a 2 or 3% increase. And the last 2 years and this year, we're getting 10, 15, 20% increase.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're not experiencing that.
It's incredible. But you can see that it's much easier to deliver a 20% rent increase when you're the property manager than if you're the owner, right?
Right.
I just was talking to my brother today, and he's got a house in Chicago and a house in Tennessee, Memphis. He's got an apartment in Chicago. He sold his house and built one in Memphis. His apartment in Chicago, he just got a 16% increase letter from his landlord.
Wow.
16%. It's a $2,000 a month apartment. So that's $320 increase.
Woo! Goodness gracious.
And that's what's happening all over America. So it's life doesn't get any better than this. We're getting appreciation and rent increases at the same time. Usually it was only one or the other, but now we're getting both.
Right.
Yeah, you got to get into this game, folks. It's a very, very nice game, and it will.
So I have a visual.
Taxes are going up.
I have a visual. So Randy, when you have a land trust and you fill out all these documents, that land trust goes into a file. in your office or in your house or in your safe, wherever it goes. But if I have an LLC, I have to go file that with the state. So the state knows the name of my company, who the partners are. They know everything.
Right.
And it's public record.
Right.
But this land trust is in my office. It's a private document. Nobody knows who gets what. There's nothing outside. So the only thing that gets filed is the
Deed.
Trustee.
It's a deed to trustee.
Deed to trustee.
And that's what puts the property into that trust file. But you're right. Nobody sees that file but you and whoever your trustee is. They would have a copy.
That's it. And it's here and it's private. It's just for you and whoever you want to know about it. That's what just amazes me about the trust is that nobody knows unless you tell them, unless you're out there waving the flag, announcing it to everybody. Nobody knows what you own. Yeah,
us men are the worst at that. Our egos get to us, and we're at a cocktail party. We get a couple drinks in us, and I bought that 50-unit apartment building over there on Smith Street, and we don't realize that there was somebody standing right behind us, overheard that conversation, and now they're thinking, well, this guy's a big timer. I may just have to stumble and fall on his property tomorrow.
Right.
And you shot yourself right in the foot.
Yes. Yep. Yes. Especially if you're talking in your own backyard, if you're talking out at your local restaurant. So, people there are shysters out there that will take you for everything you have or everything they think you have.
Yeah. And not even worry about it.
That's right.
Karen.
Yes, ma'am.
I got a question real quick. So, Randy, let's say that you're an investor that has 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 properties currently. They aren't in a land trust that you just own them through an LLC. You were talking about, well, when you take ownership, you should immediately put it into a land trust. But what if you've already got ownership? How do you transfer it into a land trust? What's the
good question?
Yeah, great question. And first off, there may be many people on this call tonight that already own real estate in their name. So it's kind of the same answer. There's nothing you can do about the past. The record's a record, and the best you can do is get off the title as quick as you can. So if I had 10 rental houses in a single LLC, I would create 10 deeds and 10 land trusts, and I would deed out all 10 of the properties into 10 separate land trusts. And I would make the beneficiary of those land trusts the same LLC that I just took them out of. So in essence, I'm taking them from this pocket and putting them over into that pocket. But I've separated them all. I've really helped myself out. I've gotten off the title. I've gotten away from exposing my LLC to the public. I've accomplished a whole lot of things by just doing those 10 little deeds.
So awesome. Randy, at your full day training, you're going to teach us how to do this. And then we're going to be able to go, if we buy your system, we're going to be able to go back and recreate. Like if we had 10 or 20 or 30 properties, we could go home and ourselves create the land trust for each property, correct?
That's correct. And you're going to save a ton of money because even if you can find an attorney to do this for you, they're going to charge you at least $500. Most of them are at $1,000 per trust. So if you got 10 properties, 10 trusts, that's $10,000.
That's right.
And and then you're done. If you buy more properties, it's another $1,000. So you can see, especially over the lifetime of your investing career, you're going to save a ton of money creating your own trust. And more importantly, you're going to understand it better.
That's right.
And you're going to keep learning and you'll be able to, add to those trusts in the future. When you learn something new or you come up with a creative idea, you can amend these trusts and change them, make them even better.
Well, I definitely know people that need to be at your meeting. I am actually texting someone right now and telling them, you need to be at this meeting. We need to get all your properties into land trust. Okay. Okay. Can we go through some slides? CJ? Okay. Let's see. So, do you want to learn how to hide your assets? Now, Randy, hiding your assets, you said earlier, it's not hiding, it's anonymity. You use that word in your video that you sent to us. It's about anonymity. You're not trying to do anything shady. but you're just not trying to stand up on that hill and wave that flag, correct?
Exactly. I remember when I first started doing this years ago, and my own wife said, "What are you doing? Are you doing something illegal, or are you trying to hide something?" And I think that's the public's general perception of privacy and asset protection, is that you're doing something illegal, that you're doing something wrong, and you're going to hurt somebody, and you're not willing to, stand by your obligations. That's not the case. You need to change this mentality of giving out information all the time to anybody and everybody that asks for it, and realize that it's your stuff and nobody's got a right to know about it. And there's nothing illegal, immoral, or fattening about that.
Yeah, I agree. We have a question in the chat from Cornelius. He says, how do you circumvent revealing yourself when you're paying your taxes?
Well, there are several ways to do that. One is you can pay your taxes with a cashier's check, or you can pay with a business check that doesn't, have your name on it. It's your company name. But if you don't want to expose your company, which I certainly understand, you can get a cashier's check and take it into the county office and pay your taxes with that cashier's check. And if you're really paranoid, you take the suitcase full of cash in, and you can pay. They'll take cash. So you cash a check out of your business account, and you take all those $100 bills, and you go in and you peel them off, and you pay in cash.
That's right. You can do that. I hope that answers your question, Cornelius. If it doesn't, feel free to rephrase it. So Randy's going to be teaching us. Would you like to transfer your property privately without using a deed? How would you like to protect your property from personal liens? Randy talked about that earlier. If someone sues you, then the properties that are in a land trust they'll be separate. They'll be protected. How would you like to protect your property from judgments? So if you have a judgment against you personally, or maybe one of your LLCs, then this trust is... How would that happen, Randy? If you had a trust, if a property was in the trust and the beneficiary was the LLC, and the LLC has a judgment, nobody knows who the beneficiary is, right?
Well, that's true. Now, there are a couple ways of looking at this. One is there's a lawsuit against you that has nothing to do with the property. Mm-hmm. You ran over somebody's dog, and they sued you for $1 million, and they got a judgment against you.
Okay.
The next step is to record that judgment in a county where they think you own stuff.
Okay.
And if you own things in your name, that judgment will immediately attach to that property, and you can't sell or refinance until you clear that judgment. So a lot of people were hurt during the 2008 collapse and had a lot of liens and judgments filed against them. And for you to be able to fight your way back, if you're a real estate person, you can't buy real estate in your name because those liens and judgments will attach. So,
right.
If you use a land trust, liens and judgments against you personally do not attach to the property in the trust. So put you back in the game where you can make money and pay off those liens and judgments. Good
idea. Okay, so like we talked about earlier, would you like to appear broke to the public? Do you want to reduce your chances of a lawsuit? If it doesn't look like you own anything, they're not likely to come and sue you. Do you want to create your own land trust again and again and again at no cost? So you pay initially, but then you have that knowledge and you have the tools to do it over and over again. That's what Randy's going to be teaching us.
Right.
Next slide, please, CJ. So would you like a private agreement with your trustee that is not recorded? That's the way it's set up, right, Randy?
Right.
And how would you like to know how to put each of your properties into their own individual land trust and insulate them from each other? And then do you want to learn how to hold title to your property out of state? Would you like to learn how to get around the due on sale clause in your loan? So many people are very concerned about that due on sale clause, especially when they're buying subject to And I know, Randy, you're going to be teaching us all about how buying it in the land trust is going to be just make it that much easier, right?
Well, yeah, and just think about this. The interest rates are always going up and down. And when you're in this business a long period, you see all these cycles. So there are a whole bunch of low interest rates out there, as low as 1.5%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's say you find a killer deal and they got a 1.5% loan that's got 25 more years to go on it.
Right.
The value of that compared to the current rates of 6 and 7% is phenomenal.
Right.
Just that difference in interest rate. So if I can show you how to buy that house and keep that 1.5% loan, you just made a ton of money on one property.
That's right.
So there are so many great techniques to use these trusts with. You won't have enough time in your day to take advantage of them all.
That's right. Exactly. So, okay, CJ, next slide. I think we're ready to get to so Randy, you want to tell them what they're going to get?
Well, yeah, if you come to my speeches this next week, I'll talk for about an hour and I'll answer all your questions, and then I'll offer you my home study course. I have two of them. One's the basic and the other's the advanced. You may or may not want the advanced. You have to have the basic to be able to create these trusts. It provides all the forms you need. They come with a USB key, as you see there, with audio and video of me teaching the same material to a live audience. So you're really getting not only a home study, but a full seminar for the price of $597. That's the basic course. Now, my advanced course teaches more asset protection techniques. It assumes that you've already learned how to create a land trust. And now we're going to teach you more asset protection techniques using the trust. And the advanced course teaches you how to create personal property trusts for your personal property, like your car, your boat, your motorcycle, your shotgun. Anything that's personal property should go into a trust too and should not be titled in your name. And that's what the advanced course teaches you. So if you have an interest in that, you can pick these two up together. I discount them if you buy them together. They're both $597 a piece, but if you buy them together at my speech, it's only $897. So you save $300 to buy them together. So those will be hard copy available. I'm bringing them with me so everybody can get one and get studying it. And it'll give you a little time to read them before we do the all-day training later in the month.
All right. Awesome. All right. Next slide, CJ. Okay, so now we're going to go over where Randy's going to be. Now, if you guys need any of this information, like the specifics, you're welcome to reach out to any of your Impact Master trainers. So Monday, or you can call me. CJ, can we put my number at the bottom? The 903-445-6023. I want to make sure that everybody gets there. If you're wanting to learn more about land trust, make sure you give me a call, send me an email, look at me up on Facebook. I want to make sure that you get to the meeting that's convenient for you. So Randy's going to be in Denton on Monday. That's tomorrow night, May 1st, at the Spring Hill Suites. Networking starts at 6:00 and the meeting will start at 6:30. Next slide, please. On Tuesday, he's going to be at Grand Prairie. We meet there at the main event. That'll be with Eric Short. Tim and Gabi Lockhart lead the Denton meeting. Eric Short leads the Grand Prairie meeting. It's going to be there at main event at 6:30 on Tuesday night. That's always great. And just a little tip, on Tuesday nights, your kids can play for like $20. So you can send them off to play at the main event while you enjoy the meeting. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, Wednesday night, he'll be up in Wichita Falls at the Wichita Falls Country Club. And that'll be with Tim and Gabi Lockhart. And that starts at 6 p.m. By the way, all these meetings, we do provide some light snacks, food, breakfast items, things like that, just so you know. Okay, next slide, please. Thursday, May the 4th, he's going to be in Bedford at the Home 2 Suites, and their meeting starts at 6:30. Okay, next slide, please. Friday, May the 5th, we're going to have a networking dinner, which is going to be open to anyone, and it'll be real informal. We'll be there at the Flaming Buffet in Dallas on Marsh Lane, and Randy will just be talking much like he did just now, but a little more in depth as to why and when you need to use a land trust. And that's going to start at 7 p.m. Okay, next slide. Then on Saturday, May the 6th, that morning, he'll be at my meeting at Real Impact Plano, and we'll be meeting in Addison at the Quest Trust office. That's on Montfort Drive on Suite 209. And then we start at 9:30. He'll finish up about noon. Then he's going to jet on over to Longview with Doug and Renee. Next slide, please. So Doug and Renee meet. That says Hurst. That's wrong. It's the Big Red Barn in Longview. It's over kind of by Lakeport. Is that right, Doug and Renee? Yeah, south of I-20, between Longview and Kilgore. So you can't look up the Big Red Barn, but it's there at 9181 FM 349. And okay, next slide, please. Okay, now we're going to talk about let me just go back and say, Randy's going to be here talking all week at different locations, and all these meetings are free. Feel free to bring a friend, bring your attorney, bring your spouse. Who else did you recommend on your video, Randy? It was a great idea.
An adult child, maybe 18 or older.
Yeah, anybody that we have one guy that brings his teenager, like he's like 14 or so. He may be 10 for all I know. All kids are the same height as me, so I don't know. But yeah, if you have anyone that's interested in learning more about what you do or how you run your business, bring your CPA, bring your attorney. Let them come and ask the questions of Randy themselves. And they're all free. Bring a friend, food, dresses casual. We'd love to have you. And give me a call. My number's on the screen if you don't know specifically where the meeting is. I'll be happy to help you out. So, Randy, I think you're it's first time you've been on that we've got to talk about our mastermind getaway that we have coming up at the end of September, middle of September. Oh my gosh, we're running out of time. So it's going to be September the 20th to the 24th. Randy, what has your experience been with the mastermind getaway?
Oh man, I've been going to every one of them, I think, for 10 years now, and they are fantastic. Not only are they just a lot of fun, Cancun is always a lot of fun. The weather's great, and it's warm and sunny and all that, but you're rubbing elbows with people that are actually doing it, not just talkers, wanna-dos. They are doing it, and if you just pick up one little idea and go home and use it, you'll pay for this event 10 times over, and you'll make relationships that you can build off of for a lifetime. So
That's
I
right.
can't recommend it enough. It's a lot of fun, and you can write it off on your taxes too. So
That's right. We actually have a CPA coming this year that's going to talk about that. So, Randy, I never met you in person until we met actually at the getaway in 2015. And I consider you one of my greatest friends. And if I ever need anything, you're always answering the phone. You're always giving me advice if I have a question. And, so I am your favorite Texan. Okay, next slide. We're going to go through these real fast. Mastermind getaway the 20th to the 24th. This year we're going to Dreams Riviera Cancun Resort and Spa, September the 20th to the 24th. Next slide. Our keynote speaker, we just announced this on Thursday, is going to be Coach Michael Burt and his wife Natalie Burt. He just wrote a book called Flip the Switch. He's also got a book called Monster Producer. He's got a training called Monster Producer, and his wife wrote a book called Living with a Monster. So it takes a lot to put up with a person like us that is really we're entrepreneurial minded, and we go from one thing to the next. So she's a great person, and I'm super excited to have them there. His whole thing is that he believes everyone deserves a good coach in life. And that's true. Like Doug and Renee and I even have mentors. We have coaches. We have Roger and Dennis, and there's just something about having someone that cheers you on and has the confidence, but also holds you accountable. So we're excited about having him with us. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a couple. These are our topics that are going to be discussed. We're going to go over the purpose of the Mastermind Getaway with Dennis Henson. Creative financing featuring subject to. He's also going to talk about wraps and hybrid. That'd be Roger Pascal. Mr. Randy Hughes himself, Mr. Land Trust, Randy Hughes himself is going to be talking about protecting your assets with Land Trust. Our keynote speaker will be Coach Michael Burt. Eric Short and I will be talking about the visionary integrator relationships. Greg Gray's going to be talking about building your rental portfolio and how to handle those evictions. Tim and Gabby Lockhart will be talking about the money mindset. Vivi and David Caballero will be talking about rehabbing in today's market. Y'all, prices are all over the place. It's crazy. Up, down. Can't find supplies. Can't find this. Can't find that. You got to change to this. So the things that we've done in the past may not work still today. Our own Doug and Renee will be talking about buying tax sales in Texas. And then Tao and David will be talking about sober living homes and private assisted living properties. So I'm super excited about it. Next slide, CJ. We are down to the wire. Oh my gosh. So in 2022, we had over 60 investors that attended. Next slide, please. Okay, so you have the optional VIP upgrade. For an additional $5,000, you can get your upgraded room to an ocean view. You get an extra night to spend with us September the 19th. You get airfare for 2 adults, transportation, a yacht excursion with us, dinner with the keynote speaker, that's Coach Burt himself. You're going to get to sit down for dinner with him and his wife, and having it all done for you. All right, next slide, please. So all of this, your true mastermind combined with a true vacation, is only $49.95 for 2 adults and 2 children, 12 and under. Prices are subject to change. So know this, guys. We book a block of rooms, and when we sell out and we go open a new block, the price may change. So if you're interested in going with us, you've got to book by July the 20th, but you've got to book before we sell out and the price possibly increases. Next slide, please. So if you attend any of our meetings this week, if you attend any of our in-person meetings, you're going to get a special offer for a special in-person discount just for coming to the meetings. And you're also going to get registered for our giveaway. On July the 30th, we're giving away a trip for 2 to the Mastermind Getaway, and we're including that VIP upgrade. So it's a $10,000 prize, but you've got to attend a meeting to get registered. Next slide. This is it. I think this is the last one. Yes. So sign up now at mastermindgetaway.com, and we will all be there. Right, guys?
Right.
So come rub elbows with us. We look forward to seeing you there. But more importantly, get there to see Randy this week. Ask questions, take notes, and then we hope to see you at the full day training on May 20th, which will be $49. So come and learn a lot. Get to know us. Get all your questions answered, and we will see you guys next Sunday on the first Sunday, which is May the 7th, right? That'll be our next call. And Randy, we look forward to seeing you this week.
Okay, I look forward to seeing all you wonderful Texans.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, Randy.
Bye,
Good night.
guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Running your own real estate investment business can be stressful, time-consuming, and difficult to manage. Where do you start? Why go out and try and reinvent the wheel when we have the answer? With our exclusive training program, we will teach you how to free up your time to build your business, develop your goals, learning where to find the money, how to find better deals, keeping track of offers, building a team, and developing a business plan that works for you. We at Real Impact Real Estate Training and Mentoring have all the answers for you. We have several plans to help you get your business to the next level. We have developed the best one-on-one personal training system in the industry. We have a proven structure that has been developed for more than 50 years through the purchase and sales of thousands of homes and commercial properties. We will help you set up and build your real estate investment business. Whether you are new to investing or you are a seasoned professional, we have a plan for you to customize your business to a method that works, is affordable, and fits your budget. With training modules like finding money, finding deals, learning how to get correct comps, building a team, short sales, subject twos, foreclosures, making multiple offers, understanding auctions, REOs, and tax sales, working to build your construction team and finding sellers and buyers. Find your property management team, plus over 70 additional training modules to choose from. Sit down with us for a one-on-one consulting to see what training plan is best to develop your goals and to build your business by using the 5 M's of investing: mining, money, maintenance, marketing, and management. Wouldn't your life be great if you can live it on your own terms? We help you develop and structure your business to take massive action. Join the Real Impact Real Estate Training today. Change your life today with real estate investing.